today got scary real quick. I guess the first thing we got to head to, right to the Ndicka news. He's okay. He's conscious. If you haven't been following the storyline so far, looks like it's a fibrillation. What's a fibrillation? That could be an irregular, as it says here, or rapid heart rhythm. That could mean that there is a clog, but really, we're going to have to wait probably to see a little bit more. That's looking like the situation. I believe he was conscious throughout the whole thing. And yeah, we're really lucky today that everything's okay. It's very odd because it comes on the 12th anniversary of the death of Morosini, Pier Mario Morosini, who died 14th of April in 2012. Same day as today. It's very eerie. And he was a Livorno player. And that was in a match off the top of my head. Who were they playing? Pescara. Yeah, away to Pescara while he was playing for Livorno. I guess the one thing that concerned me was the delay in the medical staff. When the referee blew his whistle, just seemed like everyone was, not everybody, but the medical team was just kind of hanging out on the sidelines, and the referee had to blow it more than once to get people to come over. And it had there was a weird air about this match, because even like 5 minutes prior, a fan ran onto the pitch to get a picture with Dybala. Nobody did anything. Security didn't even come out to stop him. And I think he ran back out into the stadium and up the steps. You could see that on camera. So yeah, just a weird match overall. A lot of nonsense going on. But we are going to definitely dissect what we have thus far. I think it should be noted that this match is not over. It was suspended, but it will be replayed at a later date at the time that the match came to a stop. I think that was around the 71st minute. Guys, I'm Wayne. Thanks for joining today. Okay. Yes, he is. What's up, Marco? Nice to see you. And Forza Evan for sure. If you're not familiar with Ndicka, who he is, he joined Roma this summer and came on a free transfer from Eintracht Frankfurt. And Ivorian International just won the AFCON, African Cup of Nations, with the Ivory Coast. He was a feature in their starting lineup. But as well, around Serie A, we've got a couple interesting results, and we can segue into that. Right now, I guess no surprise, Inter are 1-0 against Cagliari. They scored in the 12th minute. There's Thuram with that goal. But some favorable results towards Roma. If we check out the bottom half of the table here, we see Salernitana are pretty much doomed. They're going to be relegated to Serie B. I'm going to kind of miss them. I like Salerno. It's a cool city, cool little city. Like a nice little enclave almost of Napoli. It's not Napoli, but it's almost like Napoli, just micro size. It's cool. Definitely worth visiting. So, yeah, I'm sad that they're not going to be in Serie A next season. Also, Sassuolo, unfamiliar territory for them. They've been in Serie A, I think, at least a decade at this point. So 26 points. Could they get out of that drop? Yeah, sure. You look at even in 15th place, it's so close, Udinese. And speaking about them, yeah, this is a game that Roma should be winning, but keep in mind the turnover. Keep in mind that Roma just played two difficult matches, one at the San Siro and the other, the derby against Lazio, of course. Let's look at the top, though. And actually, while we know that Roma are secure in 5th, which looks like it's going to be enough for the Champions League, as Italy are almost mathematically there to get that 5th place, let's look at some other favorable results here. It's not Lazio. They beat up on Salernitana 4 goals. Lecce beats Empoli. Torino draw Juventus in the Derby del Mole. I'm sure the Granata fans were happy about that one. And I'm going to try to find the footage from Congress. This is pretty cool. I can play this. Torino, it was like an Irish politician, right? Let me see if here we go. This is pretty great. Let me share this. Hold on. I got to rewind. Let's make sure I'm sharing on your screen too. Let me look at my layout. Here we go.
President, in Boca Lupa al Toro Sabato contra la Juve. Juve merde, Forza Toro.
This guy's serious?
In Boca
this
Lupa
was
al Toro.
So I'm pretty sure that this was in European Parliament. I'm not going to translate that. You know what he said, but what a weird little occasion. Italian football news always giving something. Other stuff. Let's keep looking at these events. I should at these results. Share this tab. Okay, Napoli draws to Frosinone, a red card for the Partenopei. Mario Rui at the very end of that match, 98th minute or 90 plus 8. I'm not sure what's the right way to pronounce that. I think you just say 98th, but when you spell it out, it's got to say 90 plus 8. Osimhen back on the scoreline. I think this is the final days for Victor Chadira. He's a good player for Frosinone. I want to look a little bit more about him. I keep seeing Chadira's name come up. Vali Chadira, 26 years old, Italian, actually, but a Moroccan international. So he says he's born in Italy, but what happens is that if you don't have Italian blood, you cannot become a citizen unless you marry in. So that's just, yeah, Marco confirms. Euro Parliament. That's great. That guy's got a lot of guts. Funny. Let me get the right screen here. Right little. Yeah, here we go. Perfect. All right. So back to what else is going on. I think it's also, speaking about the last day of Osimhen, I'm not sure where he's going to go. What do you guys think about that? Keep those comments coming in. Is it Madrid? I don't know. Maybe it's PSG. I don't think Asensio or the Portuguese forward. Yeah, the Portuguese forward that they signed after the World Cup. I don't think he's the answer. I think PSG or that the owner of that team, he's not content with the way things have been going for him. They just had a big setback, I think, with that Barcelona comeback. So maybe Osimhen goes to Paris. Maybe he goes to Arsenal. I don't think so. I want to see Xerxes go to Arsenal, to be honest with you. And speaking of that, Bologna do tie Monza. What else do we got? Fiorentina, Genoa play tomorrow, as well as Atalanta and Verona. That's going to be a good match, but I like this one. And if you haven't seen, these are pretty cool, made by the Serie A website. These little features. That's good that they threw that in there. I like that. But I've been watching a few of those. Maybe you've seen the one on Dybala from the Serie A website. I don't think I could play that. I think that's copyright infringement. But if we want to watch the European Parliament guy one more time, I think that's allowed. Anyway, so if you're just jumping in, guys, yeah, so it looks like a fibrillation. What that means is an irregular heartbeat or something which perhaps clogged an artery, which can get dangerous. That's how heart attacks happen. We all know the severity of heart attacks, but it doesn't look like that was the case. What else are we looking at right now? I think we can go. Let me jump over to Football Italia while we keep the info coming in. And as you can see, this is, of course, headline news. Hopefully, let me go back to that. Here you can see there. So I have like a million tabs open. 1 second, trying to organize this in my mind. What else we got? Yeah, so it will resume from the 72nd minute. I also wonder what you guys are thinking about this. So I saw that match, Liverpool-Atalanta. 3 goals, 2 of them scored by Scamacca. I forget the other goal scorer. Liverpool looked really good. I don't know who played in the second goal to Scamacca, but the way that he opened up and played the ball into the right winger, who then slotted it in for Scamacca to finish that, that was great. That little touch he took completely opened up that play, a little shift of the hips. Yeah, this is interesting here. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that Juventus could sign Koopmeiners. I think that Milan could sign Xerxes. These seem like real things to me at the moment. Do I want to see them? Of course not. I think this is the move that Chelsea need, actually. I've watched them a few times this season. Palmer keeps bailing them out. He's phenomenal. But there is a category above him, I think, and that's where Foden is right now. But speaking about Chelsea, Koopmeiners, I got to say, like, this is the signing that they need. They need somebody more mature, somebody who's more in control, I think, of matches, somebody who has a better head about them, that maturity. So Patrick just texted me, he said, Xerxes to Roma, not Arsenal. I would love to see that. I think he would redimension the team completely. You give them a different look. He'd be someone you can rely on forever. But is Roma in that financial situation? I can't speak on, I'm not their accountant, but when you look at the past Mercati, like the 4, 5, 6 markets, you've got to say that doesn't seem par for the course. It seems that he said, I want to leave in the summer. Interesting. during the international break. I did not know that. He said last season, concrete interest from Napoli, but they didn't reach an agreement. He said, I'd lie if I said I have no news of interest from Juve and Premier League clubs. I read the news too. I've had an amazing time at Atalanta, and I hope they will get a big sum. Fair enough, right? He's not from Bergamo. He doesn't owe anything to them. He was picked up from the Belgian league. Just a reminder, when Dzeko sent his transfer request, Roma were apparently negotiating for Coop Miners at the time. That was a surprising thing when Dzeko said, I want to leave. In comes Tammy Abraham. Roma needed a replacement, a reliable goal scorer, a different type of threat. And that's where that money went. Coop Miners probably could have been signed for under 15 million euros, and now he's a 45 to 60, 50 million euro player. 60 is a bit much, but he's probably the best center mid in the league if you had to really ask me about that. To get to some questions here now, guys, and we're going to take a look at the player ratings thus far on FOTMob. Lukaku, I don't think so. I just don't see it. Why? Because that tax break, which got put in this past 2 or 3 years, which had the players keep the majority of their cash. It was like a tax loophole. That's being erased. That was erased by the Italian government. So if we're talking about a big wage for Lukaku, I could pull that up for you probably really quickly. Roma squad wages. What do we got here? I'm going to shift off that for a second just because we're talking about it. Lukaku, 7 net, almost 10 gross. That's a lot. That's probably 8 to 8.5% of Roma's entire wage bill being spent on one player of a roster of, 23 players, something around 23, right? Final roster, not including the Primavera. You could also see some other big sums there. Abraham. That's going to be a decision the club will have to make too. Do you want to keep investing in him, give time? Pro player suffers a big ACL injury. Does Aston Villa come calling? Maybe. Chelsea. Why do I say Aston Villa? I don't know. Somebody like West Ham, right? I just think that those are potential suitors. Dybala, yeah, I pay him every penny of that because he just makes me happy. Paredes, that's a lot. Keep in mind, though, that he came on a free. Renato, that salary is going to be wiped off the books when he goes back to Paris Saint-Germain. Pellegrini is earning his wage for sure. And Smalling, of course, this is guaranteed money. This is not like the NFL where, well, actually, it's starting to change. But in the past, it used to be you had like half your money guaranteed in American football, and then the rest was like if you played. But I have to say no. I don't see it. I don't see it happening for Lukaku. What does that mean? That means you've got to go with Tammy Abraham, and you probably sell him not at a loss if you do sell him. I think you get at least 35, 40 million euros, maybe a little bit, given the injury history. But maybe our buddy Patrick is right. Maybe Roma do insert themselves for Xerxes. Maybe Dan Friedkin says, you know what? I'm going to sell one of my airplanes in order to raise funds for our man, for Joshua. But I don't really see that happening. Baby, get down. She's good. My daughter's crazy little girl. But precious. Yes, correct. But precious. What else we got? Anything? Let's read this article here. This is by the main editor of Football Italia, Susi Campanale, somebody I've worked with in the past when I did some writing for Football Italia. So if you didn't have a chance to watch the game, let me just, read this here because it's a good summary of what happened. 72nd minute, Ndicka goes down in Udinese, clutching his chest, complaining of pain. He was conscious throughout the entire thing. Defibrillator was brought on, not used. He was alert, conscious. He was then rushed to the hospital, got an ECG test performed at the stadium, which gave quote unquote worrying results. I'm not sure. I'm going to click that link and see where that statement comes from. It comes from an earlier report, but I want to see where it says worrying. Had results described as the ECG performed at the stadium was worrying. Okay, and now Sky Sports came out to confirm that De Rossi, the CEO, and Pellegrini were allowed to see Ndicka in the hospital room. They were then reassured by the statement from the doctors that the tests ruled out a potential heart attack. It is believed, quote unquote, from Campanile's report here, that Ndicka suffered a knock to the chest earlier in the match, and the bruise prompted breathing difficulties. And this can happen. I think I've seen this once or twice before in football where you get hit in the right place and it can cause your heart to skip a beat. But I think this is much more than that. It says he'll remain in the hospital at least overnight, but Roma now go back to the capital with a flight from Trieste. If you're not familiar with the geography out there, Udinese are in Udine, which is in Trieste, which is an interesting region. I think it's actually a pretty cool spot. If you want to hang on while I pull this up, I've been lucky. I've been to a lot of cities in Italy, but this is one that I've never been to that I would like to go to. I'm not even sure what it completely looks like. Like if we look at these photos, it looks stunning, but it's on the border of Slovenia. We can go back here. I think this is cool, right? Let's take a little geography lesson. I feel like I'm back teaching right now. I'm back at work. But yeah, right on the Slovenian border. I know they have their own dialect. It's definitely probably has to be influenced. I mean, maybe Marco, you could tell me a little bit more. I know you're not too far from there, maybe a couple hours. But as we zoom out, you can see Slovenia being part of former Yugoslavia. Probably, what is that? Let's see how far that is from. I'm going to say 2.5 hours. Yeah, 2 hours there. That's not too bad. Nice. Or you could take that's cool. You could take a little ferry, right? What is this here? What is this? That's cool. The bus, but it has me going over water. Maybe it's a little Venetian boat, I'm going to guess. That's pretty cool. I'll try to get more information about that. But let's go back to the news here. Anyway, let's keep a couple things. Yeah, it's got to be, right? It looks beautiful. They probably have their own wine scene, given the landscape. What about Baldanzi? It's a good question here. I was happy with him today. I thought he had some good movements again. He proved that his quickness is often too much to deal with for the opposition. He does his thing. Like, I can't really complain too much about what he's offered so far. I want to keep in mind that this was a B team. And let's actually compare this to the one that played midweek. Let's go to Milan-Roma last game. And let's compare these starting lineups. So today, yes, Baldanzi starts on I thought he was more of like a right wing, but on paper here, it says it's a 3-5-1-1. Baldanzi behind Lukaku. Out on the right, Zalewski, Cristante, Paredes, Aouar, Angelino for that 5 across. And then I think this is more how the team ended playing. Llorente, Huijsen, and Ndicka, Svilar. Let's, I guess, address the elephant in the room. Not a good match by Huijsen, and he gets it in the start of the second half. Gets that substitution. Karsdorp came in for him, and that definitely changed the formation going forward, where at times it was like 2 in the back for Roma. Then they equalized and they drop a few more players. But comparing to that match, we've got Zalewski here, Aouar, Angelino, Huijsen, and Baldanzi. So let's compare that now to the A team, let's call it. El Shaarawy, Dybala. Those are your starters, right? That's the difference. Pellegrini, Spinazzola, Salik. Also Smalling. So actually 6 different starters compared to what we saw today. So we go back there. You can see Smalling, Mancini, Salik, Spinazzola compared to Ndicka, Huijsen, Llorente, and Zalewski and Angelino. Like, that's a completely different squad. So can we fault Baldanzi for not getting the team support behind him to help him push up to get him in more advantageous positions? I still think he's got what it takes. So for me, I love him. I loved him when he played at Empoli. I still think he brings something completely different to this team. He's great coverage for when Dybala is out. But when you have Dybala out and half of your set starters, that's where the problems seem to really occur. By the way, guys, if you get a chance, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, push that like. What do they say? Smash the like button. So, yeah, I'm not going to repeat those words. Sounds not great coming out of my mouth. It's just getting worse. Okay. But let me check out some comments for a minute. I'm going to take us off this view. So that's my opinion on Baldanzi. Let me know what you think, though. Forza Evan AD says that Huijsen error was definitely something. Yeah, and he had 2 before that. let's not forget. And there was one ball he played. He got dispossessed. He made I think all like a similar play. He just failed to control it or failed to clear it. A bad pass before that. So fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. But he did it a third time. So where does that leave us now? Huijsen not making a great case for himself there to get more playing time when you make those types of mistakes. But that's a young player, and sometimes you have to forgive the mistakes of young players. Avoid Venice. Well, I heard, Marco, that they're going to start imposing a fee that for day trippers to Venice. So I think maybe that starts to push people away from the city. But I definitely suggest visiting Venice. It's if you have time. I'll tell you a little story, but maybe towards the end of the stream. Lucas says, how do you think Angelino is doing, especially tonight? See some fans hating on him, saying he shouldn't be a starter. What's the alternative, though? Do you put Zalewski back at left wing back? Spinazzola, somebody who's ran out of gas after the match against Milan. He needed rest. Angelino was brought in for a role, and I think that he's had some good games so far. But let me put it this way. He's not Parisi, he's not Biraghi, he's not Spinazzola. I think he's a level down, but that's why he was available on a free. That's why he was able to be loaned. Player in the prime of his career. Still offers some good looks here and there, though. I'm not going to hate on him, but he's fulfilling his role, and this is what you could get. This is what Pinto could muster up. I don't know, given the situation, what other choices there were realistically to go for in the winter mercato. Don't forget he was a winter signing, but when the time does come for the summer, there's going to be a lot of options out there, and I think we will see some mobility. LB says, Roma really need another midfielder and winger and right back and left back. That's a nice flow here, given what I just said. Would be bad to sign Lukaku for 30 plus and give him those wages. I think that would be detrimental to Roma. Says, you see the difference of the team when Dybala comes on? Not really with Lukaku. True. It's almost like the Mbappe-Haaland debate. For me, I go, whenever that debate comes up, I'm like, Mbappe. But for me, it feels very similar to that type of conversation. Marco says, Huijsen has problems playing with three at the back, but then again, everyone does. That's true, too. I think we expect more. Any professional, I think, slotted in should have been able to handle that a little bit better. I think he will be disappointed with that. De Rossi was frustrated, takes him out. So I'm just looking up Chadira right now. Yeah. So playing for Morocco, he's got a few caps so far. 30 goals so far for Frosinone in 30 appearances. 6 goals on the season. Played at Bari. That's where I recognize him from. 23 goals in 65 matches for Bari over 2 years. Not bad. So he was doing that when he was 23, 24. So some good looks at that age to be scoring that much in Serie B. Not an easy league to play in. Let's see what else is going on. Let's take a stroll through Twitter. So, yeah, I was just talking about Ndicka when we started this one off. I did ask people like, news travels quickly. Don't spread rumors, no misinformation. Sometimes people will report, I don't even want to say it, but like tragedies, like it's transfer news, and it's not. Like, you don't have to be first. It's better to be right. If you want to be that guy who's like putting news out there, make sure it's correct. Make sure it's from legit sources. Like, you're not getting famous off of anyone's peril. So just relax. But this is how we started the day. Little espresso. It's nice from my mocha. Definitely suggest one if you don't have one. But big news for me on a personal level. Friday night, I got to meet Del Piero. This was an event at the Scuola d'Italia. So I am commentating for his team, which is called LA10 in the United Premier Soccer League. That's found on Ciao USA TV. It's free to stream. The team is undefeated 3 games into this season. They're going to be playing in the U.S. Open Cup. I expect them to do really well. And that was really cool. I got to see some really cool people there from Serie A. Got to link up with Marco Messina, who I'm sure you're familiar with from IFTV. And it was a nice night. You go to these events and it feels like Hollywood. And I'm like, what am I doing here? But it's fun. It's really cool. Like, you let me in. There's a spot for me at the table. You sure? But it's cool. He's super nice, humble dude, just calm, patient, let everybody speak to him, signed whatever anybody wanted from him. Very generous for him to give his time like that. And thank you for anyone who reached out to me as well on social media for that. Excellent interview. And you keep comments coming in. We'll probably run about, I think, 5 more minutes here. And I could definitely answer that question to leave us off after this interview. So Marco Materazzi is a player that I've often compared, many others have compared to Gianluca Mancini, right? He's got the edginess about him. And I've keep on saying, like, Italy needs that player. My family and I got to see Italy play against Ecuador. It was awesome. Mancini really directed the back line. I think he needs to be there. I think the Azzurri have been missing that edgy player. He brings that. But this is what Materazzi had to say about him. He said, there's a guy who goes crazy for you. Let me start up here. Renzo Lucchini, the massage therapist, called me and said, there's a guy who goes crazy for you. He even got the number 23 tattooed. I went out to meet him and gave him my shirt. It all started from there. I saw a special light. Now he's a Romanista, but at the time he only had eyes for Inter. Even if Mancini creates controversies and is divisive sometimes, he doesn't change. Fans love him, and the rivals hate me, just like how it was for me. It's a quality. It means to be real. He's a good guy anyway. Never confuse what happens on the pitch with what goes on off the field. By the way, Mancini also met some guys from Roma Club New York when they were in town. They were like, no, he's great. Materazzi continues, says, with time and experience, you can correct some errors, but don't talk to me about the Lazio flag. It was a mockery that ended there. Blowing it out of proportion is useless. Exactly. Like, everybody relax. Everybody's on their high horse. They're, the morality police. How could Mancini do this? How so unfair? Look at the lack of character. How could he be in Spalletti's squad? Like, chill. Who are you? President of the United States? He's done worse. We don't hide and we fear nobody, quote unquote. I'm left-footed and he is right-footed. I'm technically stronger. He's faster. We would have formed a complete defensive partnership. Those two would have been pretty funny together. We're going to add Patrick in here real quick. What's up, Patrick? You're on. You're live. You could jump in whenever you want. He's muted, but maybe he hears us now. But he says, on the national team, and I wanted to read this.
I have the Microsoft off. Microphone off.
Oh, okay, no problem. We're just wrapping up the Materazzi interview here.
I have the Microsoft off. The microphone off.
He says, let's start by saying that we were in a good position with excellent central defenders. Gianluca was not called up for the last Euros, but he deserved it. It was the biggest disappointment, but he found the strength to react in that moment. I see him as a starter at the Euros alongside Bastoni and Acerbi. Patrick, what do you think about that? Should Mancini be alongside both those players, Acerbi and Bastoni? I think that's an interesting conversation there. Mancini be alongside both those players.
Well, I think Bastoni is a better call. Acerbi I don't rate as high, obviously, but I think right now he needs to be a starter probably for Italy, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what you think.
For me, for sure. There's part of me that wants to just say keep the Inter back line because they're the best defense in Italy at the moment, but you got a comment here for $5 million next year. I think Angelino is great. Would love Bellanova on the right. This is my player. Bellanova for me is it. You got to go for him if you can. But thoughts, Patrick?
I don't think we can get Bellanova, obviously, but I think Angelino is not that bad. The issue is he doesn't play every single game the 90 minutes. He would probably do better if he had more playing time. But today wasn't a great game, obviously. I mean, I don't know what you thought.
True. Yeah. Like I said, I think that he was a good player that you could get in at the time, given that it was the winter mercato. But I gotta say that there's gonna be different opportunities out there. But I do lagging on your end, Patrick. So Tomo asks, why are we Roma fans? Marco says, because. Patrick, what is your story as to becoming a Roma fan? I don't think I ever asked you.
The World Cup, Totti and the World Cup in 2006. I told you, it was a long time ago. So yeah, but yeah, it's more of a Totti fan and then a Roma fan after. But yeah, that's that.
Understandable. You brought a lot of people to the club. Absolutely. But we're just I'm sorry, Patrick, but we're out to wrap it up here. Sorry.
No, I know. I came in late.
That's anything you want to add about the game on your end? What you saw so far? Any comments?
No, I think we were talking about Lukaku and how he wasn't doing that great before the goal. I don't know what you think. If you think, obviously wage wise, you were just talking about how much he earns, and I don't think we're going to keep him for those wages unless we can get a great deal and he reduces his wages and Chelsea, because not Chelsea, who owns him right now? Chelsea, I think, right?
Chelsea. Yeah.
Yeah, right. I don't know if they're gonna want 30 million. That's gonna be tough if that's the price we're going. And at that price, I wouldn't pay it. I was telling you about Albert on WhatsApp from Genoa, that he has 12 goals, 3 assists. He would be a cheaper option than Xerxes, which we won't be able to get. Orsolini, I think it's cool as well, but I don't know. You don't rate Orsolini as high.
I
He
think
has
he's
10,
good.
10
I don't
goals.
see it happening. Not with Dybala and Baldanzi.
But you think Baldanzi is going to stay on the wing on the left, because he could play as a midfielder too, or as a 10. But
To me, he's definitely more of a true 10. But I think that there will be many times, where he continues to play as a winger, but more as like a deeper, withdrawn, finding pockets of space, moving the ball forward.
But he couldn't play on the middle three, according to you, or what do you think about him being where Cristante is at, or where Pellegrini plays at? Further back.
Pellegrini play. I'm not so sure. I don't know if he has the type of endurance that or strength, overall body strength, that it would take to play in those positions. To me, he's more of somebody who has to be in the front three, or somebody who floats in between the lines.
But do you think we're going to switch to a 4-2-3-1, or do you think we're going to, because a 4-2-3-1 is the best formation for us? I think you don't think so, or do you?
I think something with an attacking mid in it is always much more fruitful compared to the way that Roma has played over the past 2-3 years. So seeing that opportunity being given to Dybala, I think, is one reason why he's been doing so good, is because he's allowed to play free. So I think there needs to be some type of attacking mid free role. But as far as like a rigid formation, that's not going to work for Dybala nor Baldanzi. So.
But do you think we're going to get Zalewski has to find a new team next season?
He's got to figure it out. I don't know what the club's plans are for him, given his age is also to be considered. Value, what the team how they can reinvest with Zalewski. I mean, what does he have? Does he even have a goal this season, Zalewski?
I don't think so. I don't recall. He could very well have a goal.
I'm not sure that he has even one. So I'm going to check his stats right now. 22 years old, 1 assist in the Europa League, 1 assist in Serie A. At that point, what do you say? 22. Is it? I
think you see when El Shaarawy plays and when Zalewski plays, you see the difference. It's night and day, right?
Yeah. That's totally
and El Shaarawy, I don't know if we're going to keep him or if he's going to be starter next season. We're going to keep him most likely, but I don't know if he's the starter for that slot next year. You think he's going to be, because I think it's a budget issue, right? We are not going to be able to get all the players that we need.
We'll see. But Patrick, I'm going to wrap it up for the sake of quality as we start to get into other content, other topics here.
Of course. Congratulations on the geography segment there that I saw that.
Well, that's crucial. We have to address
the innovation is happening. The geography segment is right.
But I'm going to leave us off on this screen here, which, let me pull it up. There we go. Ndicka, the squad went to visit him at the hospital. Good stuff there. And says Evan's feeling better, in good spirits. He'll remain in the hospital for further observations. Forza Evan. I think we'll end on that, okay?
Right. Okay.
Bye, guys. Thank you for joining in. Hit that like. Ciao.